Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association.
If you have a news topic or event you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Wednesday at noon and is uploaded to our YouTube channel and our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page to watch on demand. Today is April 17th, 2019, and now the News at Noon.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, an agricultural business in Gem Village is asking for help in finding an old tractor stolen sometime late Monday or early Tuesday. The orange 1981 Kubota M4050 tractor with a front loader was stolen from a locked lot at Southwest Ag Inc. The equipment is valued at about $10,000, said Chris Burke, spokesman for the La Plata County Sheriff's Office. Gary Hillier, a co-owner of the business, said a chain locking the lot was cut. It took employees at least an hour to realize which vehicle had been taken, Hillier said. Hillier said he didn't have any security cameras watching the lot, but a neighbor has footage that may be useful to law enforcement. Burke said the sheriff's office does not have a suspect. The tractor was coincidentally about to leave the lot. It had been sold and was being prepped for delivery, Hillier said. Southwest Ag has been fortunate not to have any thefts like this in the past.
A Kansas man arrested in Cortez faces new sex charges as reported in the Journal with a file photo. Michael Scott Fitzgerald, who was captured in a Cortez hotel on January 24th, was arraigned Monday in Topeka, Kansas on a sixth charge of aggravated indecent liberties with a child. A district judge in Shawnee County District Court entered a not guilty plea on his behalf, according to WIBW News. A grand jury filed a felony sex charge March 28th. According to WIBW, the act occurred on January 24th, the day he was arrested in a room at the Days Inn by Wyndham in Cortez on Main Street. According to an affidavit filed by a Cortez police officer, 3 police officers found Fitzgerald, age 47, in a hotel room with a 14-year-old girl from Kansas. He was jailed at Montezuma County Detention Center until he was extradited to Topeka. Fitzgerald was indicted on 5 felony charges, including soliciting a child, contributing to a child's misconduct, sheltering a runaway, and indecent liberties with a child. After Cortez police officers detained Fitzgerald, the girl was evaluated at Southwest Memorial Hospital and placed in custody of Montezuma County Social Services. Social workers made arrangements to return the girl to Kansas. The Cortez affidavit states Topeka Police Detective Scott Dickey located Fitzgerald's black Dodge pickup using Mopar vehicle tracking and informed Cortez police of Fitzgerald's location. When the 3 Cortez police officers knocked on the hotel room door, Fitzgerald opened the door wearing underwear and a t-shirt. Some details in the affidavit have been redacted, but in court on Friday, Assistant District Attorney Matthew Markuson said the girl was wearing just her underwear when police arrived. He remains in custody in Shawnee County Jail in lieu of a $250,000 bond, WIBW reported, and is scheduled to appear in court on May 20th.
From the Cortez Journal, too much fat and sugar may be catching up with residents in La Plata and Montezuma counties, causing obesity rates to rise slowly but steadily, a report by County Health Rankings found. About 17% of adults in La Plata County are obese, up from 13% in 2005. In Montezuma County, 24% of adults are obese, an increase from 17% in 2005. The report, funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, found across Colorado about 20% of adults are obese. Adults with a body mass index of greater than 30 are classified as obese and are at a greater risk for many health conditions such as heart disease, stroke, and mental illness, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Obesity is on the rise in part because many people are cost-conscious, convenience eaters, and foods high in fat and sugar are cheap and widely available, said Rachel Landis, executive director of the Good Food Collective. The collective works to encourage the production and consumption of healthful foods regionally. Low-income residents can also struggle with their diets because food banks often carry primarily processed food, she said. The Good Food Collective, the Garden Project of the Southwest, and other nonprofits are working to address this problem in the region by ensuring families in need have more options. In 2018, the Garden Project provided 950 pounds of free produce to families through a market at the Roberta Shirley Head Start Center, said Lexi Stetson Lee, the executive director of the Garden Project, in an email to the Durango Herald.
Colorado Governor Polis signs major overhaul of oil and gas rules. This is reported in the Durango Herald, AP Photo, Denver Post, Hyung Chang. Colorado Governor Jared Polis on Tuesday signed into law a major overhaul of state oil and gas rules, turning the focus away from encouraging production and directing regulators to make public safety and the environment their top priority. The law also gives local governments significant new authority to restrict the location of wells, which could limit or prohibit drilling in some areas near homes and schools. Today, with the signing of this bill, it is our hope that the oil and gas wars that have enveloped our state are over and the winner is all of us, said Polis, a Democrat. The state has struggled for years to balance the interests of the booming industry against growing concerns of people who live nearby drilling rigs, wells, and tanks. Colorado ranks 5th nationally in crude oil production and 6th in natural gas. The industry says it contributes $32 billion annually to the state economy, including taxes and 89,000 direct and indirect jobs. But fast-growing communities north of Denver are spilling into the state's most productive oil and gas area, the Wattenberg Field, sparking complaints about noise and pollution and provoking fears about explosions. Supporters said the law brings much-needed protections for Colorado's booming population, its environment, and its growing recreation industry. Opponents warned the law could stifle a major industry, kill jobs, and shrink tax revenues. Barbara Kirkmeyer, a Weld County commissioner and fervent industry supporter, is leading an effort to ask voters to overturn the law in November. She said her proposal would create an independent regulatory commission insulated from Colorado's back-and-forth battles over oil and gas. Also in Weld County, critics of Democratic State Representative Rochelle Galindo, who voted for the law, started a drive to oust her. They need about 5,700 petition signatures by June 3rd to force a recall election. Colorado voters rejected previous attempts to impose tighter restrictions on the industry, including a proposal on last November's ballot that would have increased the minimum distance between new wells and homes from 500 feet to 2,500. The industry spent heavily on advertising to defeat the measure. The new law does not change the setback, but does allow local government to use land use regulations to limit where wells can be drilled. That could make it much harder to drill on the western and southern edges of the Wattenberg Field near Boulder and the Denver suburbs. But industry-friendly Weld County is not expected to impose tougher rules. Industry analysts said the law will increase the cost of drilling for oil and gas in Colorado, which could drive some companies to states with fewer restrictions. Specific effects of the law won't be clear until state and local regulations are rewritten, which could take years, said Dan Haley, president of the Colorado Oil and Gas Association. Haley said the industry supported some amendments that were made before final passage, but still opposes the legislation overall.
From the Cortez Journal, after years of public controversy about how to deal with homelessness in town, the city of Durango and La Plata County have hired a consulting firm to help officials and community members tackle the issue. The firm was hired to develop a practical and scalable plan that will address urgent community health and safety needs associated with homelessness, among other issues, according to the contract. The county's $70,000 contract with the Athena Group, an Olympia, Washington-based company, was finalized Wednesday, he said. The firm specializes in public policy development. The city and county jointly funded the contract, but the county is the fiscal agent. Homeless residents have been camping on public land around Durango for years, raising concerns among residents about fire danger and public safety. However, campers often have nowhere else to stay because the community does not have a low-barrier shelter. La Plata County commissioners and city councilors have explored various options for addressing homelessness and camping near town, but last year officials decided they needed outside help and set aside funding from the joint city-county sales tax for the long-term plan, Stevens said. The strategic plan is expected to be finished by the end of the year and detail actions the community can take within 2 years, according to the approved contract. And now let's take a look at the weather.
Here we have our DCTV local area 5-day outlook. Though we had been looking at potential rains, now the winds seem to dominate the forecast. Today expected to be mostly cloudy and then gradually becoming sunny with a high near 58 degrees. Breezy south winds 15 to 20 miles an hour shift northwest in the afternoon with gusts as high as 30. Tonight clear with a low around 35 degrees. The winds continue from the north at 10 to 20 miles an hour with gusts still at 30 miles an hour. Then our warm-up trend is still on target to begin Thursday, being sunny with a high near 63 degrees, though the north wind will still make it feel a little cooler with winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Thursday night clear with a low around 38 degrees. Friday sunny with a high near 69 with light winds. Friday night mostly clear with a low around 43 degrees, and now warming up even more on Saturday, mostly sunny with a high near 70 degrees. Saturday night mostly cloudy with a low around 43, and a lovely Easter Sunday on tap. Sunday partly sunny skies with a high near 65. Sunday night partly cloudy with a low around 39. And no changes in sight for the beginning of next week. Monday mostly sunny with a high near 62. Monday night partly cloudy with a low around 38. And Tuesday sunny with a high near 65. And now back to the news.
From the Durango Herald, New Mexico is pushing forward with energy saving updates to its portfolio of agency buildings in the state capital. The General Services Department, that oversees more than 800 buildings across the state, announced Tuesday that it plans to invest $32 million on projects to improve the energy efficiency of state buildings in Santa Fe and generate renewable electricity with photovoltaic solar panels. Solar installations are planned on 19 buildings. The legislature and Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham have dedicated $20 million to the initiative. Permission is being sought from the New Mexico Finance Authority to borrow an additional $12 million. The contractor hired to implement the project is guaranteeing energy-related savings of $1.1 million a year, and actual savings should be higher.
Reported by the Durango Herald, photo courtesy David Linden. Firefighters responded to a report of an explosion on Tuesday night in North Durango. The blast occurred about 7 p.m. at 114 East Animas Road, County Road 250, near the intersection of County Roads 251 and 250. The explosion was the result of someone using a plasma cutter on a trailer, said Carola Hanks, fire marshal with the Durango Fire Protection District. The cutting was occurring near a battery that hadn't been disconnected. The electricity from the plasma cutter interacted with the battery, which created the release of gas from the battery, followed by the explosion, Hanks said. No one was seriously injured in the blast, she said. Quote, sometimes you're so close to the center of the explosion that your body doesn't absorb the explosive concussion because the concussion is moving outward if you're dead center in the middle, Hanks said. Some days we're extremely lucky and very grateful for what we have. Isn't that the truth? To be grateful every day.
From the Cortez Journal, a fire truck is much more than just 6 wheels, sirens, and a water hose. It becomes a piece of us, said retired Durango Fire Department Captain Pat Kelly. And one piece of Kelly, the 1982 Seagrave Durango Fire Engine 1 he rode for 8 years before retiring with an injury, is about to move on. It's an old truck painted lime green to be more visible at night. Its decals are fading. Durango Fire Protection District Battalion Chief Jeff Harris admits it's not pretty, but it is functional. The Seagrave engine rolled into Durango in 1982, the first automatic transmission firefighting truck for the department. It drove like a Cadillac, Kelly said, but it didn't have all the bells and whistles, and it wasn't top of the line, Kelly said. The fire department was smaller then, serving only residents within city limits, and didn't have a lot of money, he said. Durango Fire Protection District now serves people all over La Plata County. The fairly short engine, about 28 to 30 feet long, Harris said, carries 500 gallons of water, hundreds of feet of hose, and 7 firefighters. 3 ride in the enclosed cab, 2 sit in an open-air cab, and 2 stand in the back. It can pump 1,250 gallons of water per minute. Modern fire trucks carry 1,000 gallons of water, provide an enclosed cab for everyone on board, and pump 1,500 gallons of water per minute. 2 axes are strapped to the side of the Seagrave, and a light in front of the vehicle that Kelly calls the third eye wobbles and turns to alert drivers the truck is headed their way. There's a white deck gun that the old-timers used to call a turret, Harris said, on top of the truck. A tank installed in the early 2000s mixes fire retarding foam with water, a modern firefighting technique developed in 1999. and each compartment in the rear of the truck is designated for certain items. Oxygen packs were stored upside down in a locker near the top of the rear driver's side of the truck. Hose connectors and nozzles were stored in a compartment near the bottom of the rear passenger side of the engine.
A tax windfall will benefit rural schools. That's reported in the Journal from Chalkbeat, Colorado. AP photo David Zelobowski. The Public School Finance Act, expected to be introduced in the state Senate on Tuesday, will include an extra $23 million to reduce the state's outstanding obligation to school districts, plus $30 million just for rural schools and $5 million for behavioral health needs. None of this money was in the budget approved by the House and Senate last week, but recommended changes in the residential assessment rate, which determines how much of a home's value is taxable, means that Colorado likely will have an extra $107.6 million to put towards school finance. Before this news, a single big-ticket priority, $175 million for full-day kindergarten, accounted for most of the new money going into education. Dedicated funding for rural schools allocated the past 2 years was missing entirely from the budget. Neither outgoing Governor John Hickenlooper nor Governor Jared Polis asked for that money, and an effort by State Senator Bob Rankin, a Carbondale Republican, to get budget writers to add it in failed to get the necessary support on the Joint Budget Committee. While many districts will benefit financially from the state covering the full cost of kindergarten, some rural districts with small numbers of students would essentially break even. A few would even have lost money. Senate Education Chair Nancy Todd, co-sponsor of the school finance legislation, said she wanted to find ways to address the most pressing needs that schools have, but long-term, the state needs to change the way it funds schools. For the past 2 years, a special committee has been meeting to look at changes to how Colorado distributes money to schools, but without making much progress. Legislation this session extends that committee's work for yet another year. The extra money will come from local property taxes. Colorado law requires that non-residential property owners pay 55% of all property taxes statewide, with residential owners covering the other 45%. To maintain this ratio, the legislature sets a residential assessment rate based on projections about property values. Over several decades, that rate has sunk lower and lower, with significant implications for local taxing entities. In the case of school districts, the state has made up whatever district losses from whatever they lose from lower property tax revenues. This year, state economists originally predicted a residential assessment rate of 6.78%, down from the current 7.2%. The 2019-20 budget was built based on those assumptions, but new forecasts show non-residential property values increasing more than expected, which means the residential assessment rates doesn't need to fall as much to maintain the required ratio. The Division of Property Taxation instead is recommending a rate of 7.1%. 7.15%. That means local school districts can expect to bring in an extra $107.6 million, and a corresponding amount of state money is available for education. The Colorado General Assembly will need to approve lowering the assessment rate. If it does nothing, it would stay at 7.2%, but that could invite taxpayer lawsuits. The School Finance Act will also set aside $5 million for mental health needs, with districts having broad discretion in how to spend it. That's in addition to a variety of grant programs that will be funded through separate bills this session. Each district would get at least $20,000 to spend on what it sees as its greatest need, whether it's training for parents, an anti-bullying campaign, or suicide prevention. Any additional money made available from increased local property taxes should be put in the state education fund. Current economic forecasts call for a slowdown in growth, and the state may need to draw from its reserves in future years to maintain funding levels.
From the Cortez Journal, 2 historical Mancos sites are opening their doors for tours all day Saturday. The Mancos Opera House has been closed for restorations in recent years, as has the old Mancos Times Tribune building. But members of the public will be able to glimpse some of the progress that has taken place this weekend. The Mancos Opera House at 136 West Grand Avenue was built in 1910, originally housing a grocery, drugstore, and a theater. One of the local veterans of Foreign Wars Post, VFW Post 5231, owned and maintained the site from 1955 until fall 2017, when the Post decided to sell the building. When the building was put up for sale, Mancos couple Philip and Linda Walters decided to purchase the Opera House. They are planning to rehabilitate the building in its original style. Philip Walters said they are currently finishing up developing the master plan and should begin construction work this spring. Some of this construction includes adding new roof, new roof coverings, gutters, ADA-compliant bathroom facilities, and an elevator for access to the theater. They expect to have this infrastructure project wrapped up by February 2020, although that will not be the end of the job.
And today's High Canyon Country happenings. Kicking off Easter weekend in Cortez tomorrow, April 18th, their Easter egg Easter egg hunt in the pool at the Cortez Rec Center runs from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Bring your own basket and come dressed to swim, they say. It's for ages 10 and under. There is no charge for this event, and if you have any questions, you can call Michelle at 564-4084. And note, the lap pool will be closed starting at 6 p.m. for this event. And as Kelsey said, Saturday, April 20th, tour the Mancos Opera House and Mancos Common Press from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Enjoy refreshments and learn about their future. It's hosted by the Mancos Creative District and the Mancos Opera House Common Press. April 20th at the Sky Ute Casino Resort in Ignacio, comedian entertainer Bill Engvall will be performing for 2 shows, 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Doors open 1 hour prior to the showtime. Tickets are on sale now with VIP at $59, reserved $49, and general admission $39. Purchase tickets online at skyutecasino.com or by calling 888-842-4180 at the Sky Ute gift shop or at the door. You must be 18 or better to attend. And all the happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, you can contact us by email, dcbnnews@gmail.com, or call the station at 970-677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Thursday and then is available online on our YouTube channel and our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page on demand.
Be sure to like us there on Facebook and join in on the news of our area, and of course, please share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.